powered springtime, spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, goddess of creativity, of birth, of life renewed, you sing all about us at this time. The birds call your sacred name. Buds burst forth with your vestment. The sun reaches higher into the sky, shining the light of this new day through the windows of your cathedral, this world. We are thankful for this place where we take the offering now. We are thankful for this place where we gather on Sunday morning, where we connect with that which is meaningful in our lives to that which is holy. We understand that this place, before this place to be here always, it requires our time, our talents, and our economic support. The passing of our felt chalice, we are moved to put whatever we can into it to sustain all that we treasure here. The speaker this morning was to have been Adrian Jensen of Evergreen Meadow Academy, which is a therapeutic residential middle school for girls in Rock Hill. I won't read further on that, but hopefully she will be with us another time. And the invitation to Adrian was suggested by Lord Stewart. Remember when Jan Goodwin spoke about failures of the child welfare system? Adrian was going to address that from her point of view. Let's see. As I said, the Upper Delaware Unitarian Universalist Fellowship began meeting in 1987. It was originally, the idea of a local fellowship here in the River Valley was originally conceived by the late Reverend Raymond Pontier, who was a Unitarian Universalist minister who had left the Dutch Reformed Church some years earlier. The reason he left the Dutch Reformed Church as he was an ordained minister there originally was because the local church of which he was pastor, I read his book many years ago, that he wrote a book about this. I don't remember if he was fired, but he was made to feel unwelcome in his Dutch Reformed congregation, primarily because of his continued support of his son, Glenn, who was a draft protester and was opposed to the war in Vietnam. And so Ray went looking for a new spiritual home as a minister, and he found Unitarian Universalism, which is a welcoming denomination, specifically including people from any of the world traditions, and liberal. I'm speaking in cliches when I describe the denomination, but it's really hard, as your friends might have experienced when she tried to describe Unitarian Universalism. It's hard to nail down because there is no written creed. There is no one book of scripture that we turn to for answers. The Bible is rarely quoted in these meetings. It can be if it fits the purpose, but and to cut off the subject of this fellowship, in 1987, Ray Pontier wrote a letter, which I don't remember how widely it was published. It may have just been published in the River Reporter. At that time, his son Glenn, that I mentioned, was editor of the River Reporter. Lori has been the owner of it since the newspaper started, pretty much shortly after. But from that one letter to the editor, half a dozen people showed up in his living room, which is on the house on Route 97 up toward Checkton, and decided to meet regularly, or to meet again, to continue meeting. And they met at a place called Innisfree in Milanville, which was, are you recording now?
Yeah.
Fellowship originally began meeting at Innisfree, which was a youth hostel, summer camp, various times. It was a commune. It was an experimental school. It was a variety of things. Around the time that the fellowship started, there was a program there called the River School, which is not what I was referring to a second ago when I said experimental school. Industry started in 1970, started really by my father. I should credit both parents because they were equal participants. But my father was the mover behind it. A group of teachers from Montclair, New Jersey, decided they wanted to start their own school. And then as they got along with the project and bought some property, they realized that it was quite involved to become accredited as a school. And it was a summer camp, 1970, 1971. Years went by, and my family continued to maintain a strong connection to that place in Milanville, just above the late great Milanville Bridge, which no longer stands, up the hill from where the bridge stood. And there was a recreation hall there, which is where the fellowship met for several years, for its first several years of existence. I don't remember what year the fellowship moved to Beach Lake. Do you know, Nan? I mean, you were there.
Before my
I'm gonna say it was in the mid 1990s. Mother sold the property in 1996, so it had to be after that. It's probably in the late 90s, and remained in Beach Lake until we came here. And I can't pull the years out of my head because for several years between there I was not attending. Still paying attention to it. I was still getting the emails, but I was not actively participating. And the fellowship has been meeting here for the last few years in this space because it's available and it's convenient and it's handicap accessible.
price is right.
It's affordable. We have had a variety of speakers here on topics of local interest, topics of global interest, spiritual topics, intellectual topics, a wide variety. I'm going to ask a question. Those of you who have been to meetings here before, who has been your favorite speaker or presenter that you've heard here? What was the most interesting or meaningful?
Well, Joe Jacks, I think I'll always say him, but
Musicians. We've had a few
Well, but
musicians.
he wasn't just, no, he did the whole service that day.
Yeah.
He was not just a musician that day. He speaks at Unitarian Universalist services all over the country on a regular basis. Yeah, but I think I let Barbara Leo talk about birds.
Yeah.
She's gonna be doing it again at the Woodbridge next Thursday.
Right, which I can't see.
She was a former president here, and I think she was president of the Wayne County Audubon Society.
Yes, she will. On the
What
local
else comes to
chapter,
mind?
which doesn't exist anymore.
What else comes to your mind that we've heard here? Well, a few years will be on.
Give me a list and then I could go through them and
Yeah,
tell you, but I have.
I can't remember her name. She was this Orthodox Jew. But she was a Mormon.
Melissa Hayes.
Yeah. That was a riot. She came here and talked about her experience becoming an Orthodox Jew. A Mormon in the Midwest, farmer, and then she was like really into it. You know. Talked about baking and everything. I like that one.
If you go to the website at
Yeah, they're
UDUUF.org,
on YouTube. She is on YouTube.
she's on YouTube. A lot of the speakers are on YouTube. And I guess it just started this year. Jill's suggestion was to put those videos, to display those videos actually on the website, embedded in the base page. You can see many of the recent speakers.
So UU has, if you didn't finish the whole website, when you're talking.
But also we have speakers from Victims Intervention and Habitat for Humanity, the local chapters, and they come and speak.
Growing over together.
Right, growing older together, which we're involved with. So that's also very interesting. And
We always have this, pretty much every week we have a good speaker when They come.
But she's on the internet for coming, this Adrian.
Yes, I know.
So I,
He sends out the press releases, so yeah,
no, but this isn't,
that's the Democrat.
She's on the website. I sent out press releases. She got,
so
so I just hope
she
she's
knows.
okay.
So it's either,
Oh, she's okay.
yeah.
One program that we hold once a year, in the
Okay.
fall, is the, and I'll explain the history of this a little bit. In 1993, my father was on the board of directors of the fellowship. He was active, and he was attending every week. It was right. All they had to do basically was roll out of bed and walk across the lawn to get to the meeting, help the dentistry. But he was also busy with a number of other activities. He had retired from teaching and was working full time as a volunteer for a few local organizations. One was starting a Habitat for Humanity chapter in Wayne County, which he initiated, and we gathered a number of people working with him. And they still exist. We had some representatives come and speak here about that chapter recently. But once a year, we have a walkathon to raise funds. And this was a suggestion of my father's in 1993. He said that he really enjoyed coming to the fellowships, and they were meaningful to him to come to the meetings on Sunday. But he wanted to be part of something that was going to contribute more to the community than just getting together and listening to each other talk. And that's about as bluntly as he put it. Somebody at the meeting suggested that we raise funds for local organizations, naturally including Habitat for Humanity, which is what he was promoting at the moment. And it was suggested at this same meeting that we try a walkathon and raise pledges based on how far people would walk, or just based on the participation in the activity, making donations to charities that the fellowship designated. And there was Habitat for Humanity, the Victims Intervention Program. What else?
GOT.
Oh, that's not that. She's talking about when they started.
Oh, when they started.
I think we had one.
Oh, yeah,
group
rape.
What?
That's being, oh,
What?
rise, do to rise.
Rape intervention services and education.
Took that over.
Right, that was, but back then, these were the organizations, and I think the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, which is not local, but that was the minister's suggestion that we have something of the denomination. So those were the original charities, as I recall.
Food pantries.
Recently, IOU was another original one, Interfaith Outreach United in Calico. But in recent years, there's been groups have been Habitat for Humanity, Victims Intervention Program, Growing Older Together. What am I missing? One more. Another one.
But I don't know whether we do or we will. We've spoken about food pantries for local food pantries.
Well,
That's separate from.
that's something we've talked about at the last annual meeting.
Right.
But anyway, the first walkathon was held on October 24th, 1993, and my father naturally was participating in the walk, and he sat down on a rock because his leg hurt, and he was picked up by the sweep car. Reverend Fontier was driving back and forth to pick up anybody who was too tired to walk. My father really was not in good shape. He was quite overweight, and me looking back on it, he really wasn't taking very good care of himself in a number of ways. But he was a hard worker, and he wouldn't give up, and he was committed to this project. And he went on the walk, even though he was advised not to by a number of people, and he ended up dying on the walk.
Wow.
Ray Pontier picked him up from the rock he was sitting on, drove him back to Innisfree, and by the time he got there, he had lost consciousness. And when EMS arrived, he had passed away. So since then, the fellowship has continued that activity. And since 1994, it's been called the Tom Rue Memorial Walk for Social Justice. Most recent one was past October. We haven't given a lot of discussion for the upcoming year, but I'm sure we'll do another one in October. We just walk around the flats. Where the route we've been taking in recent years. Um, collected over $4,000 this year for the organizations that I mentioned, divided equally. And in recent weeks, we have had speakers from each of those organizations come and receive their $1,000+ check as a donation for the fellowship. So that's a regular annual activity that we do. You mentioned food pantries at the annual meeting that we had a month or two ago. I don't know what it was. That was a subject that was brought up from the floor here. What can we do to support people who don't have enough food in the community? Food is essential to survival, obviously, and with the cuts to federal programs. A couple members of how many people? Three members volunteered to put together some sort of plan for what we're going to do, and I'm not sure what that plan is yet.
Laurel and Heidi, you think?
And they're doing some research on what exists and what we can best contribute. So, I mean, those are that reflects the priorities and the topics that we cover. What have I left out? You said something about the website.
Well, you started to say what the website was, but didn't finish the folks that are here.
Well, if you look at UDUUF.org, there's recent videos. There's some summaries of what Unitarian Universalists believe in general. Contact information for board members. What else is on the website? Take a look when you have time. I'm not going to go into detail on this, but in terms of my own spiritual journey, when I was 14 years old, I was looking for some kind of faith, some sort of spiritual meaning. I looked at a number of denominations, and I had been to a Unitarian Universalist church in Princeton, and had some friends there and attended there. But when I was 14, I came across a copy of the Book of Mormon, and I joined the Mormon Church. I was an active Mormon for 7 years, and in about 1986 or 87 or so, I wrote a letter to the Mormon Church, to the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, asking for my name to be removed. I went into a detail about why I no longer wanted to be associated with the church, and I closed a document that I called 13 Affirmations of Faith that I had written myself, and enclosed that to convince the president of the church that I no longer belong to them. And at the end of my letter, I excommunicated the church from Tom Rue.
And now you can drink coffee.
Now I can drink coffee. Actually, I did talk about that once at the fellowship in the 80s or 90s at the request of Sharon Page, who was going to be speaking this week. And that's on my website, actually, a transcript of what I talked about.
Leave it.
But that's Mormonism. Mormonism is very different from Unitarian Universalism. Mormonism is highly structured. You are either fully aligned with the church, in your beliefs and your activities, or you're considered to be in darkness. And that, after 7 years, that no longer fit for me, and I served a mission for the Mormon Church in Colorado for 2 years. I went through the temple ordinances I went through the Mormon temple in London for the first time, later at Salt Lake City, or Utah. Went to Brigham Young University for 2 years. And after my mission, I came back to New Jersey and returned to college. Majored in psychology, got a master's degree in counseling, and I've been working as a counselor since then. So I didn't want to get sidetracked into talking about Mormonism because that's not what we're here for. It was part of my spiritual journey. I can't think of anything else to say about the history of this fellowship. Anybody think of anything that I've left out?
The fact that you used to meet at a municipal building in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, she mentioned that earlier.
Community Center. And that was some of us felt it was a nicer space and more conducive to reflection, but and more control over the physical environment. But it was not handicap accessible. So a couple flights of stairs to get in. It's a short flight, but I think that was part of the reason for the decision to move here. Congregational feedback. Questions? That's what's on the list here. Questions, comments. What about that? Closing words. No, we have anything else. There is finally only one thing that's required of us. That is to take life whole, the sunlight and shadows together, to live the life that is given to us with courage and humor and truth. Shall I distinguish? This is the message of our faith: to act with passion in the face of injustice, to love with courage in the midst of life's pain. This is the meaning of our chalice flame. May it empower our hearts until we are together again.
There are some baked goods in the back, some carrot cupcakes, and a couple of donuts and stuff. My homemade carrot cupcakes and coffee.
Sounds good.
So,
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
It'll be warmer.
Well, I
today.
hope that was useful. A little bit of background on the organization.
Good thing to do when you got nothing.
I'm gonna stop now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop now.
Very interesting.
Okay.